Hey guys, Joe from the Crazy New York Driver Show. Today is Friday, July 25th, 2014. Today we're going to talk about the eBay defect system and how it affects you. And if you're a seller on eBay, please watch the video. I have a lot of stuff to tell you. Some of it you may know already, but I'm sure there's some of it you don't know. As always, we're first going to start off with a little rehash of what we've talked about the last few weeks and some important news items that have come to pass. First of all, as far as you guys following each other on eBay, you know I made a video about a month ago where we all follow each other, which is a great idea. A lot of you guys, including myself, are still limited as to how many people we can follow, which is 100. I've been told that at some point eBay will take the restriction off, but mine has not yet been lifted. So if you're one of the many people that's contacted me through either YouTube or eBay and asked me to follow you and I haven't, the reason is I can't. I've reached my temporary limit. If they release me, I'll be glad to follow you guys. I think it's freaking ridiculous that there is a limit. Why does eBay want to impose a limit on people following each other? Makes no sense to me. They encourage us to follow. When we follow, they say that's enough. Right now I have approximately, I think, 275 followers. And it's all you good people. Thank you. I'm also going to talk about the fact that the bidder search option is down and not working. It's been down for 2 days. What I mean, if somebody, let's just say hypothetically, did a buy it now on your item and then said to you, and then paid, and then said to you, cancel a transaction, I no longer want it. What I always do is I always immediately do a bidder search to see if they found it cheaper from somebody else. I had a story the other day, which I'll tell you a little later, where that happened. And guess what? You can't do that. You try and run a bidder search, it will not work. The page will not load. Are they going to fix it? Or have they done away with it? I do not know. But I think the bidder search is a very important eBay tool, and I'd like to see that fixed at once. I'm going to talk about open cases as they affect the defect system, and I'm going to hold off till a little later in the video, and I'm going to jumble it all together. I will tell you that it has been slow this last week. The week itself wasn't bad, but last weekend was extremely slow. I mean, one of my slowest weekends I can remember. Freaky slow. So I checked into the Facebook groups to see what those people had to say. And guys, you know I've talked about these Facebook groups before. And let me just make an analogy, if I may. When you get up in the morning, you go to work, you want to find out what's going on in your area, the first thing you do is you read the newspaper. That's what you do. You find out what's happening in your community. However, when you're a seller on eBay, there is no such newspaper. There's something better, the Facebook groups, where you can communicate one-on-one with people who you know and trust. I've talked about these groups before, and I get a lot of requests from you guys for more information about them. And I will tell you as much as I can. There are two type groups. There are public. Public groups, all you have to do is log on to your Facebook account, and in the search field, you could type in eBay or eBay sellers, and those groups will appear. The problem with them is, since they're public, you might get some riffraff in there, some haters, people who don't like eBay and eBay sellers, so you have to watch out for that kind of thing. With our private groups, that will never happen, because we very carefully screen the members that come in. We don't just let people in. I don't let people in. I mean, I have to be really freaking sure. Because God forbid, if I ever let a loose cannon in and he caused trouble, number one, he would get Das Boot, and number two, I would be called on the carpet. And I don't want to be called on the carpet. It's just the world we live in today, folks. You gotta be careful. You have to be sure. I know a lot of you guys have requested admission to certain private Facebook groups, and at this point I'm not in the position to do it unless you're somebody I really know and really trust. Please don't take offense. It's not like I don't like you or I don't trust you. It's just that I don't know you. But if you continue talking to me back and forth and introduce yourself, your eBay account, the time could come where I feel comfortable. It has happened already where there are a couple of people I'm that comfortable with that I actually let them in the group. And you know, I'm just trying to make a point here that it's a great group. There's a couple of them, and it's great where you can talk to other sellers and not get jumped on or stepped on or yelled at. Everybody is nice and everybody helps everybody. And that's that. But why I brought up the Facebook groups was we were talking about how slow it's been this last week. 75% of the people in the thread agreed that it's very slow, but 25 said they were kicking butt. You know, go figure. Sadly, I was not one of the 25. But what I did do, I made a rather large purchase the other day. That's something I always do. Anytime I can get something at a good price, even if it's slow, that doesn't matter, I'll jump on it and I'll make the purchase. For the first time ever, I received what's called a FedEx freight delivery. Usually I get the over-the-road truckers coming an 18-wheeler, but I had a FedEx freight truck in here the other day. If you don't know what the truck looks like, I'm going to show it to you right now. So that, guys, is a FedEx freight truck. All the items are stacked on pallets, and it has a hydraulic lift gate in the back to make it easy to unload. And shipping is always a lot cheaper if you order in quantity by freight. Trust Crazy New York Driver. Okay? Another small little thing that a few people have complained about. It's a very minor thing, but maybe one of you guys can help me with this. Have you noticed on all my videos I have this black border around the edge of them? It happens on every video I make. I think it has something to do with the aspect ratio. For me, I mean, I don't even care. I'm just not good with that kind of stuff. I don't know how to fix that. I had a guy write in a while back, all right, you got to do this, you got to change that, It just sounded too cumbersome, too involved to do. If anybody knows an easy way to fix it, something that a simpleton like myself could handle, comment that below, because it doesn't bug me, but a few people have asked about it. And if it's going to be complicated, I'm not even going to try it. Okay? I just thought I'd throw that out there, and maybe one of you guys would have a quick, easy fix for that. And lastly, the last YouTube thing I want to cover once, and hopefully for the last time, messages. Everybody's having a hard time getting their messages. Alright? What you have to do, if you want to send me a personal message right now, you can't type it below. That's just a general comment for everybody to see. If you want to send me a personal message, you'll have to go to my channel. You'll then click the link on the top right. No, I'm sorry, not the top right. Near the top on the right, it says About. You'd click About, and then you'd click Send Message. That's the easiest way. And I could reply to you from there. But let's get on to the defect system, because I think I've bantered long enough here. Alright guys, I don't think there's a single seller that has not complained about the defect system the way it is written right now. Here on YouTube, and also on the Facebook groups. Alright? Now the defect system itself is not totally all bad. There are certain defects that I think are reasonable. And the number one reasonable defect is when a seller cancels a transaction because he's out of stock on an item. Because that pisses off the buyer, and then he winds up going over to Amazon and leaving eBay, and that's what we don't want. We want to keep everybody right here on eBay. So the idea is not to get out of stock. However, let's be honest, there are times when that does happen. It's happened to me. It doesn't happen often, but what I do, I man right up. And I go out and find the item either from a competitor or on eBay, and if I have to pay more and lose money, that's my problem for not being on top of my game. But there are some defects that are just blatantly unfair. And the number one that I can come up with is the item not received. Item not received defect when the tracking number clearly shows it was received. To illustrate, let me tell you what happened to me the other day. Guy opens a case, item not received. I'm on the East Coast. This guy's all the way over in California, okay? He waited to the exact first day he could open the case, which is 7 days from the purchase date. But keep in mind, 7 days means only 5 shipping days. So, the guy opens a case. So the first thing I did was I checked the tracking, and the item was already in Stockton, California, which means he was going to receive the package later that day. So I typed in my answer, added the tracking. I responded to the case. I said, you will have the package later today. I said, the tracking number was uploaded and it clearly shows it's going out for delivery. Did you even check? So, now, we know this. If the guy gets the item later that day and is satisfied, closes the case, and leaves me positive feedback, I'm still getting a defect. Because that's the way the defect policy is written. And it would happen to any one of you guys too. It's whoever wrote that really didn't think it out. I really don't understand who wrote that. It needs to be retooled. However, I decided to use my brain. I jumped onto the Facebook groups and I told them what was going on. This is something we do when one of us gets, a case opened. We'll discuss it among the group and say, what's the best way to proceed with this? So I stated my case, and one of my friends reminded me, he said, Joe, he said, the best thing for you to do is not wait for the buyer to close the case. You need to escalate the case to eBay right now, because since the tracking number shows the item was delivered, because now it's the next day, all right? A day has passed since I got the case opened, and now it shows that it's delivered. He says, since the tracking shows it's delivered, eBay will automatically close the case in your behalf, and if they close the case, you don't get a defect. So that sounds great. However, eBay would not let me escalate the case because it had only been the 8th day. They want to give more time for the buyer to respond, which in this case, no matter what the buyer does, is going to hurt old Joey. So for the second time in one day, I used my brain again. I got right on the phone and I called eBay customer service. I called them at 5:40 p.m. Eastern Time, which is a good time to call because I got somebody in the USA. All right? I explained to her what had happened. She looked at the case. She saw the item was delivered. She said, no problem. She goes, I will take care of this for you right now. I will close the case and you will get no defect. And true to her word, within maybe half an hour, I got an email from eBay saying, we have closed the case, we have found in your favor, you don't have to worry. Plus, what really surprised me, in the email it said, you do not have to worry about low DSRs or bad feedback from this buyer, because we are going to block them from leaving you any feedback or any DSRs whatsoever. So that was good. That's good news. The point of this story, guys, the point is, if somebody opens a case against you, item not received, and the tracking shows that it was delivered or it's almost delivered, wait till it's delivered. Well, first respond to the case, because you have to respond with the tracking number, so it's in eBay's system, in their case system. So respond to it. Then, if it's delivered, get right on that phone. Don't wait, don't message anybody. Get on that phone and call customer service. Say you had a case opened against you wrongly. You would like it escalated and found in your favor because the tracking clearly shows that the item was delivered. And if eBay closes the case, I give you my word, you will not get a defect. Sounds good? For snag cases, significantly not as described, that's a touchy thing. I really think that when these cases are opened, a human being needs to oversee them. For instance, if someone buys a blue shirt and they get a red shirt, all right? A human should oversee that, not a bot automatically finding in favor of the buyer. Sometimes a person orders a blue shirt and they don't like the color blue. Well, that's their fault, all right? That's not the seller's fault. I think snag cases should automatically be routed to a human being. None of this bot, none of this assembly line stamp out process in favor of the buyer. I'm sorry guys, but that's just the way I feel. Shipping time is another sore point with you guys. I received more complaints about your shipping times this week than anything. The problem is with the post office. That's where the problem lies. When you bring your pre-printed items that have already have labels on them, you're bringing them to the post office, you must get them scanned, period. I don't want to hear anything, all right? Now, there are some of you poor people that have told me your post office refuses to scan them. One lady in particular in Florida comes to mind. Not a lot of people have had this happen, but some have. And I think it's a freaking crime that the post office is that lazy they won't scan your items. It doesn't take that long. I have never had a problem here, and there's several post offices in my area. There's been a couple of times when I went to a different post office and they took them and they started to push them off to one side, and I said, no guy, bring that back. I said, I need that scanned in. And they kind of looked at me funny, but they scanned it. You have to tell the clerk, I need this scanned in. And if you get someone that's that nasty or rude or lazy or any combination and they refuse to scan it, my advice is go to a different post office, because your top rated seller status is going to hinge on this. It has to get scanned in. Period. Some people have complained that they did get the item scanned in and that was fine, but the item took too long to get to the recipient because of delays that involved the post office, not the seller. And I understand your point, and you should not be held liable for that. That's another thing that needs to be looked at with the defect system, is the shipping time. Sometimes if you check the estimated delivery times, they say 3 to 5 days to California. That's not true. You know, that needs to be looked at. I want to talk about canceling a transaction. This is another sore point. And this is something eBay has not thought out again. And I'd like your input on this. eBay wants all of us sellers to ship as quickly as we can, which is good. I support eBay on that. I think all of us should ship right away. Either same day or at the very least next day. I know some of you guys are going to say, well, Joe, you know, I do this part-time, I work, and I know. I'm just telling you, this is just my opinion. All right? So, I think everybody should ship right away. But there's an inherent problem that's been going on with these low feedbackers, and in some cases, the guest accounts. What they'll do is, they'll do a buy it now, or win your item, whatever, pay for it, And then anywhere from 5 minutes to 2 days, they'll contact you and say, cancel the order. I bought the wrong item. Now we all know that they didn't buy the wrong item, because I had one of these happen the other day. They found the item cheaper about half an hour later is what happened. So this lady, get this. This lady does a buy it now. I swear to God, everything I'm telling you is totally true. I couldn't make this up. She does a buy it now for an item. Pays for it. An hour goes by and she writes to me and says, Joe, I would like to switch the address, because the address that's registered with eBay and PayPal is my old address. My new address is 123 Main Street. So send it there. Within 10 minutes, she contacts me again. Cancel the sale. I don't want the item. I bought the wrong thing. So she went from buying the item to switching the address to canceling the sale. Now something's not right there. I did a bit of search on her. Sure enough, after that, she bought the same item from somebody else cheaper. So I wrote back to her. I said, listen, I've gotten conflicting emails from you. First you told me to ship to a second address, then you said to cancel the sale. Now I went ahead and I checked your eBay activity, and I see you bought the same item you bought from me from another seller, and I put the item number in there, and I said you got it from him cheaper. Now, did you mean to cancel my sale, or did you mean to cancel the other sale? I knew she was canceling mine. I just wanted to get a reaction. And her reaction was, yes, I want to cancel yours. Sorry for all the confusion, but my son went online and bid on the same item, and I didn't know it. Again, all eBay members are responsible to safeguard their account. That's in the bylaws. All right? But I don't think it's very rarely enforced. So basically, I think that's enough material for you guys to talk about. I'm sure we'll get a lot of activity on the defect system. I really, honestly believe the defect system needs to be retooled, especially with the item not received case when the tracking clearly shows it. I've been burned twice already. Luckily, I've been able to get both defects removed. You guys have been burned. All right? I read your emails. I read your comments. I know what's going on. I see what's being said in the Facebook groups. All right? We want to be good sellers. We are good sellers. But it's just not fair to get dicked over for something that is out of our control. I'm Crazy New York Driver, and you're not. Thank you once again this Friday for watching my eBay video. If you have any comments, concerns, whatever, you're welcome to comment them below. Of course, I can't respond to all the comments below, but if you definitely have to talk to me or tell me something through a personal message, you're more than welcome to PM me. Just go to my channel. On the right side, click on About. From the next screen, click on Send Message. YouTube needs to retool too. But anyway, that's that. I haven't kept you guys too long, have I? Nah, not that bad. Alright. Thanks for being good eBay sellers, and I'll see you guys next week. Right here on the Crazy New York Driver Show. Rock on.